All right, we're live. And hey, it's another beautiful day in Costa Rica. Today we are actually talking about, hey, the pros and cons of living in the city. Because as you know, hey, I prefer to live where there's more monkeys than people. But there are people that do want to live in the city or at least close to the city. And we're going to talk about all that. But before I go further, hey, give me a real quick audio check. Let me know how's the audio, how's the video, are we okay, are we looking good and sounding good? All right. So hopefully we're looking good. I moved into a new place, so I don't know if we got an echo, and I don't even have a refrigerator. Hence, I'm drinking some good old agua today. Hey, I'm glad Dirk's Wild World has just showed up. All right, great. And I'm sure there's a lot of other people that haven't commented yet. But anyway, let's go ahead and see if we can't get started. Okay, great. We got some confirmation. It looks good and sounds good. All right. So today we're actually talking about, hey, what are the pros and cons of living in the cities of Costa Rica? Hey, not just in the cities, but if you're living in a touristy area. Living in a touristy area, well, you're probably going to be close to a city, although not necessarily. So let me just tell you real quick, and remember, hey, this is just my perspective based on my personal experience, and I do a lot of stuff. I've learned a lot since 2013, and I never have lived in the city or even close to the city, and that is intentional. Simply because, hey, I wanted to enjoy rural, raw Costa Rica. I didn't want to be where there was a lot of tourists. I didn't want to be where there was a lot of gringos. I wanted to experience the real Costa Rica. And because I'm on this new project, well, I've been living in Jaco or close to Jaco for the last 3 months. Okay. So for the last 90 days, man, have I learned some stuff. Okay. So really just shocked here. Hey, welcome in Tim Rowe. We got someone who's just joined us live. In the event he wants to be able to ask his questions live or maybe share his perspective, he certainly can. So if you want to join live, well, you've got a link in the email so that you can do that. And several other places, Facebook group. But anyway, we're talking about, the pros and cons of actually living in the cities of touristy areas. Now, I've been here for 3 months, and in the 3 months that I've been here, the first couple of weeks, I was right dab smack in the middle of Jaco. I could walk 5 minutes and I was on that Jaco strip. Really, really nice place. And it was I guess you'd call it a boutique type hotel where they had all these really nice suites, but they were open to long-term rental. So anyway, I was there for a couple of weeks, but didn't know it. They had a policy of no dogs, no pets. And so Nikki and I had to move out after 2 weeks. But write this down. I'm telling you this so you can get some perspective as far as cost. The cost was only $1,000, okay? So for $1,000 and this place, wow, I'm talking about, it was nothing Tico about it. It was super, super, super nice. I mean, nice furnishings, nice kitchen, nice everything, okay? And it really was just kind of a small area. And real quick though, what I do want to announce before I go any further is, hey, look, I am looking for an intern. So, hey, if you're thinking about coming to Costa Rica and having pretty much an almost free vacation, and you want to learn all things YouTube, the off-grid homestead, making money online, then hey, make sure to check the link in the description below so that you can apply to become a possible intern. Okay, so I just wanted to quickly announce that and remind you, hey, make sure to comment, like, and share because you could win that free Costa Rican vacation that I'm giving away at the end of this 90-day challenge where we're building this house in Costa Rica. But on back to the topic at hand, the pros and cons of living in the cities of Costa Rica. So like I said, the first couple of weeks, I was living in a super nice place, only $1,000 a month. I'm talking about, had, of course, a shared pool, shared a lot of stuff because there was 10, lack of a better word, 10 villas that people could live in. And at $1,000 a month, wow, that was amazing to have been. I wish I could have stayed there, okay? Anyway, I moved there after a couple of weeks, moved to a little place that was in Playa Hermosa. It was kind of a boutique type hotel. very, very old. In my opinion, was a dump. Okay, just really dark, very outdated, and it was $800 a month. But they really wanted way more than that and bragged about how great their place was. And I just flat out said, look, compared to where I was at to here, you don't, you can't light a candle to it. You can't, it was terrible. Anyway, I ended up moving out of that because that place did sell and they had a new owner. Anyway, so from 1,000 to 800, and then I moved a little bit further out, which was really about 10 minutes from Jaco in Playa Hermosa, or outskirts of Playa Hermosa, and that place was only $600 a month. But keep in mind, that place being $600 a month, it was fully furnished, okay? It was really kind of nice. Now, it was Tico style, though. And even though it wasn't Tico style, it wasn't terrible Tico style. It was a decent place, tiny, tiny. Matter of fact, it was smaller than my whole living room is now. But it was kind of set up nice where you had a couple of beds, had a little office space, had a shower. Shower was cold water. That's why I say Tico style. There was no cold water. It was cold water, and I don't like cold showers. And I was there 2 months, okay? And I just moved here. But, it was really designed for people that were coming just for the weekend, a lot of workers in the area. So there was a lot of Tico workers that would come there. And Ticos have a whole different culture. They're never thinking about the people in the next room or anything. And, they'll come down and they'll have their phone, their speaker, and they'll turn on their music real loud. And they're sitting on the balcony and they're smoking. And they could care less what anyone else is thinking. They're just really not thinking. And so anyway, I moved out of that, and we're here at this place, which you can't see, of course, but there's nothing in it. And I hope it doesn't echo. And this place is $600 a month, but it's completely unfurnished. It is still a Tico place. And when I say a Tico place, you have to remember when renting a Tico place, you almost get nothing but the walls. I mean, a lot of places I've rented didn't even have a kitchen sink. Now, luckily, this one does have a kitchen sink. So, but it's $600 a month, and in my opinion, not worth $600 a month. But keep in mind, I am in a touristy area. So, we'll talk about that. So I could rent something that was more spacious than this easily for $250, $300 and half. So keep in mind, in the rural areas where I've lived at, man, I've rented stuff as cheap as $100 a month to $300 a month. And the other place that was higher, it was fully furnished, 2-bedroom place, and it was $500 a month, okay? But, just to give you an idea. So those are just some ideas as far as the cost is, okay? Now, the place that I'm living at right now, like I said, there is no furniture, and so my place is empty. I don't even have a refrigerator right now, and I have to go back to my place. And, I'll try to get a little refrigerator or stove, because keep in mind, and correct me if I'm wrong, when I was in the United States, if you rented a place, even if it wasn't furnished, most places did at least have a refrigerator and a stove at least. Some places did have a washer and dryer, but not all of them. But anyway, most places that you rent in the United States almost always come with a refrigerator and a stove. And that's not the case in Costa Rica. So if you're taking notes, that's something important for you to know. Because most of the time when you rent in Costa Rica, you're really renting the 4 walls, and that's it, okay? So anyway, that just gives you an idea. But I'm living in a place that's called Calle Hermosa, or that is the name of the street. And I'm thinking about actually giving you a tour about Calle Hermosa, because, man, it is a gringo hotspot. And so it is, 10 minutes away from Jaco, but I mean, even where I'm at, it's probably a 10-minute walk to Playa Hermosa, and Playa Hermosa is some of the best surfing in Costa Rica. Keep in mind, it's not for knuckleheads like me, because those waves will eat me up. So if you're going to surf Playa Hermosa, you better have some experience under your belt. Because I tried those waves one time, and I didn't think I was ever going to come up to the surface. So anyway, but that's a hot spot I'm thinking about taking and showing you here in the very near future, okay? So anyway, that just kind of gives you an idea of where I've been at the last 90 days. Now, Just to give you an idea. And I've always said this before, if you're going to live in this area, I don't know that I would live in Jaco, although I did find some residential areas in Jaco that really wasn't bad, okay? Keep in mind, though, if you're going to be in Jaco, you know, all those places, nice places, pretty much you look like you're in your own penitentiary because of the barbed wire and the walls and all of that. But yeah, you could find some places there. But anyway, just to give you an idea for distance, you know, Playa Hermosa, where I'm at now, is only 10 minutes from Jaco. And wow, you can find some really nice places here. And the prices are not terrible. However, depending on your lifestyle, you could really be easily renting $2,000 a month, $3,000 a month. Depends on what your lifestyle is. But you could easily rent a place like this, which is unfurnished, for $600 a month. And this place just went up. I wished I knew what the price was before, but that's the reason I was able to get it. The people that were living here was happy, but the owner raised the rent, and so everybody left. Hey, you lost my good. But anyway, I can understand you get used to paying. I don't know. I have no idea what they were paying, but they weren't happy with the price increase, so they left, which left it open for me. Okay, so $600 a month. That gives you an idea, but you can find things even cheaper. A good way, if you're looking for prices, is to go to Airbnb. And if you go to Airbnb and you actually put your dates in from the 1st to the 31st, pick a full month, and then Airbnbs that are open to that type of time frame, long term, will show up. And you can really get an idea. And that's not how I found this place. It's how I found the place before. And you know, you can find some places. And I found several places that were in that $600–700 range. Quite a number of places, probably 10 places that was under $1,000, but a whole bunch of places that was really between $1,000 and $2,000. And then there was, of course, plenty that was over, you know, 2,000 and above range. Okay, so Airbnb is a good way to kind of get you an idea of what the cost is going to be in a particular area. Okay, now the best way to find a good place but cheap place, you know, anywhere in this area, is to get boots on the ground. You come over here, you driving around, you're looking at signs, you're knocking on doors, you go to the Feria, where the local produce market is, talk to people, and you can really get some phenomenal deals, okay, by looking around, okay? So that just gives you an idea of where I'm at right now. Now, before I get into some of the pros and cons, and I've already listed quite a number of things, you know, because I'm an entrepreneur, I'm always looking at things from an eye of, can I make money doing it? So let me give you just, hey, investment advice from an entrepreneur. And if I had just more money than I had sense, which I shouldn't say that, because if you've got a lot of money, then you can make some serious money if you've got some good sense, okay? So if I was an entrepreneur, or if I had plenty of money, where would I invest inside Costa Rica, or in this area, I should say? And look, really, if you are someone with good business sense and you have a spirit of excellence, you almost can't fail at any business, because you'll kill the competition by just doing a great job, okay? So if you come to this area, anywhere in this Jaco area, because there's so many tourists, you can't fail. You can make a restaurant. If you cook good, you're gonna make money. There's a lot of adrenaline stuff. And when I say adrenaline stuff, people looking at adventure, they're looking for ATV rides and, you know, tours up and down the mountain, horseback riding, zip lining. There's really a lot of that stuff. So too much competition in that area, but hey, if you did it right, you would make money. Now, if I were you, I would be looking for something that's maybe a less low key. In other words, hey, a motocross thing, that's really high key, adventurous stuff. But if I were you, I would be looking at low key things, because in my opinion, I have yet to find anything in this area that I would say senior adults, and not old, but anywhere from 45 years up, 45 years to older. If you're a mature adult, there's let's say you didn't want to do the party scene, you didn't want to go bar hopping, you just want to go do something during the day. There, most people, I don't know, I'm just guessing, from 45 up, they're not looking to go zip lining and, I think some would go horseback riding, but they're not looking for that adrenaline. That's just something enjoyable to go do for the day. And there's really just, I haven't seen that much stuff in Jaco to do, So if I was an investor, I would do that. Now, me personally, if I was going to spend money, what I would do is I would buy a few hectares anywhere. So if you're taking notes and you're an investor, write this down, because I'm about to give you a huge money-making opportunity here, okay? If you wanted to invest money. If you were to buy property anywhere 20 minutes north of Jaco, 20 minutes north of Jaco, to anywhere all the way 20 minutes south of Manuel Antonio, that area has lots and lots and lots of tourists. So in that area, you could buy a piece of property anywhere, and you could build, if you bought something that was in rolling hills, I would build a niche tiny house community, or any kind of niche community housing where people, average people, could rent for around $500, $600, $700 a month. And I would have tiny house communities, some of them that people could buy, some of them that was only rental only, fully furnished, and you'd have it would stay jam-packed with people. So rental units, Airbnb type things, you would make a absolute fortune in this area, because there's just so many tourists, and tourists coming in, they're wanting to stay for the week, the weekend, the money you can make. Okay, so hey, that's the entrepreneur advice from me. Okay, if I had plenty of money in this area. Okay, so let's talk about some of the pros and cons of living in the city or a touristy area. Okay, so I'm going to talk about just a few of the pros. Hey, the biggest thing is, the reason so many people come to Jaco is the nightlife. Okay, there's a lot of stuff to do, and whether you come into Jaco or San Jose, there's just a ton of stuff. So keep in mind, even though I'm really talking in general mostly about the Jaco area, what most of the stuff I'm going to tell you stands true for anywhere in the San Jose or metropolitan area. When I say metropolitan, you got San Jose, Escazú, Heredia. You got several, towns that are just right there in that metropolitan area. So, of course, the only thing that wouldn't apply is, there's no beaches there in San Jose, but you have the unlimited opportunity to do so much. So there's lots and lots to do in San Jose, Jaco, as far as nightlife goes. Tons and tons of bars. And keep in mind, no matter where you go in Costa Rica, about the most popular thing to do in Costa Rica is go to the bar. Except when you're in a tourist area like Jaco, and when you're in an area like San Jose, there's just so many things you do. San Jose, there's museums. Of course, there's a lot of adventure stuff. Jaco doesn't have a museum, as far as I know, but there's tons of adventure, as far as, like I said, everything, ATV rides, horseback riding, fishing, tons of stuff that you can do, as far as if you're looking for that kind of excitement. Tons of restaurants with so many different flavors. I've always lived in rural areas, and there's just not a lot of selection when it comes to restaurants. There might be 10 or 15 restaurants, but they're all Tico restaurants. And look, if you go into a Tico restaurant, then the flavor is the same. I don't care what Tico restaurant you go to. Hence the reason that when they advertise typical Tico food. Why? Because it's typical. Okay, it all tastes the same. And so, if you're looking for flavor, then you want to go to a city that you got a choice: Japanese food, Italian food, different. Here in Jaco and in San Jose, there are so many different restaurants that maybe you couldn't see them all. Obviously in Jaco you could, but in San Jose, tons of different flavors. Hey, in Jaco, and I think in San Jose, I'm not sure, but in Jaco you've got casinos. Now, there's one huge Crocs casino. So if you like to give money away, I say just give it to me. But you can give it away to the casino and someone else will benefit. But if you want to just give money away, give it to me. I'll hold my arm up. Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. Every once in a while, I'll say you win, and I'll give you a few bucks back. Anyway, if you like to if you like to gamble, that's there. Hey, and I'm looking at some of these questions, and I'm going to answer some of them while we're going, because Phil says, well, what about a car or motorbike rental business? Now, as far as car business, I've only seen one car rental, but I bet you there's more car rentals here, and I just don't know about it. But yeah, Phil, you can make a fortune if you did car rental right in here. Because the other day, right now, my vehicle is broke. Hence, one of the reasons, my vehicle's in the shop. I'll tell you about that horror story here in a moment. But my vehicle's broke. I went to go get a vehicle, and I really wanted a truck. Well, I wanted a truck four-wheel drive so I could take it to my place in the mountain and get some stuff so my place wouldn't be so empty. Well, they didn't have a truck, and they said if I rented one for at least 3 days, they would get one from San Jose. So yeah, you can, a car rental business. Now, motorbikes. I don't know about motorbike rental, but I do know they have plenty of ATV rental, these side-by-side, vehicles that are more than an ATV. I call them a side-by-side. I don't know what else you want to call them. I think they're called by several different things. But anyway, and so they're really nice. But yeah, I think you would do really, really good with that, okay? But I don't see anybody renting out a motorbike. And so if you were into that, I think you could really do well with that, okay? And Doug's right, I am sitting on the center block wall. I mean blocks for chairs. Actually, I do have a decent office chair. It ain't a great one, but hey, I am in an empty room pretty much. And yeah, this is indeed a green screen. But if you were to rent something like what you see in this green screen house that I'm in right now, then you would probably, and this is, in the United States, this would be considered normal. But here you probably end up spending at least $2,000, $3,000 a month for something like what you see me in today. And mine's free. Anyway, some more pros to living in the city is that, especially Jaco, they do have really nice beach, some pretty decent surfing. And so if you want to be close to the beach, you have that here in Jaco. If you were in San Jose, well, you're at least 2 hours from a decent beach in San Jose, okay? Now, off-road rental, someone said, Richard here, off-road rental vehicles. Yeah, they have the off-road rental as far as ATVs and those side-by-sides, okay? And so I'll address some of these other questions. That's not really what I'm talking about right now, a little bit later. I want to answer every question. So another pro is transportation. Now, transportation really is good everywhere. And when I say public transportation, look, Costa Rica has got public transportation down pat. And that's simply because most Costa Ricans don't have a vehicle, okay? And so the public transportation is pretty amazing, and it's very cheap, and you can almost get public transportation anywhere. And look, if the bus doesn't pass by your place, you can walk 5 or 10 minutes away, and there's a bus stop. And they don't even look like bus stops. It could be 4 poles with a tarp on it, and that's a bus stop. If you don't see a bus stop, you can stand on the side of the highway and wave your hand, and the bus will stop. So look, the public transportation is awesome. But when I'm talking about transportation in Jaco, you have, and especially Jaco, San Jose metropolitan area, you can get an Uber. So you're not getting conned from the red taxis. The red taxis hate the Ubers, but the Ubers are way, way, way cheaper. So you can hail an Uber really easy. Now, in Jaco, I think you can fairly get an Uber pretty easy. I'm over in Playa Hermosa, which is only 10 minutes away. And when I was broke down on the side of the road, it was 7 o'clock at night. I tried for an hour and could not get an Uber to come pick me off the side of the highway, okay? So, hey, so the Uber transportation, not nearly as, there's not as many of them, okay? In my favorite town in San Isidro del Genoa in the Perez Zeledon area, you have a few Ubers there, just not a whole lot of them. So keep in mind, the further away you get from Jaco south, the fewer and fewer and fewer Ubers you're going to get. Oh, look, lots of taxis, but they always con you and rip you off, okay? It's just part of being, but hey, I think that's the culture of being in taxis anywhere in the world, I think taxes in general just rip you off, okay? But hey, as far as the pros of Jaco, San Jose, man, you can get the transportation, Ubers, all that makes it nice. Now, there's a lot more pros, but I want to talk about some of the cons, and I want to save some of those other pros for later because I don't want to end in the cons because, you know, sometimes I get the feeling that I'm talking negative about Costa Rica, and I'm not. I just like to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. There are a lot of negatives in Costa Rica, and, you know, you get a lot of expats that just absolutely don't have a single good thing to say about Costa Rica. And, you know, hey, they just, I don't know why they don't just go home. Go back, leave, gringo. But, you know, I've been here 9 years, and while there's a lot of stuff I don't like, hey, there's a ton of stuff I like, and there's always more pros than cons. So let's talk about some of the cons. Hey, one of the biggest cons of actually living in the city, whether it's San Jose, Jaco, or any big city. Now, not San Isidro. San Isidro, while it's the second largest or second fastest growing city, not counting San Jose in the metropolitan area, it's great. This doesn't apply to San Isidro. Your cost of living for San Jose metropolitan area and Jaco, your cost of living is going to be almost twice what it is anywhere else, okay? And that's going to be true even if you're not in a city, but you have a lot of touristy places like Tamarindo, Cocoa Beach. You know, there's a lot of tourists. Your cost of living is going to be way more expensive. In this area, nearly double. I shared some of those rental prices, and look, where I'm at now, not furnished, 600 bucks. I easily rent for less than half in San Isidro del General, Perez de la Don, even way cheaper down at Buenos Aires, San Vito, on down that area. You can really rent an unfurnished place for $100. Easy, okay? Now, when I say $100, keep in mind, there's nothing fancy about it. It will be a Tico house, and the only thing you're getting is the walls, and it probably won't have a kitchen sink, okay? But look, for $100, you can install whatever you want and be thankful it doesn't have a kitchen sink because it's going to be wore out, and you can put it in a nice place, and you can live there a long time. And then when you move out, donate it or take it with you to the next place. So you can, so cost of living, cons, nearly double. Rent is going to be more than double. Now, when it comes to dining, your dining, when you're eating in these big cities, it's going to be double or more. And I like to gauge that because one of my favorite meals of being in Costa Rica, because I try to eat healthy, is I love to have what they call arroz con camarones. I probably butchered that up, but I'm trying. But it's simply rice and shrimp, okay? So the rice and shrimp, I eat that a lot because I like it and it's healthy. And the rice and shrimp normally, on average, 3,000 on the low end, 3,500 on average, 3,500 colones. And look, today's exchange rate, that's probably around $5. However, when you get closer to tourist areas, and in this area, last night I looked at some rice and shrimp, and it was double. It was 6,000, 7,000 for some rice and shrimp. Just a funny side note, if you look on the menu, they got rice and shrimp, and then they'll have shrimp and rice. I'm like, what's the difference? Wait, rice and shrimp and rice. Is this a genius test? I mean, where am I gonna fail? Anyway, the shrimp and rice just means that you get more shrimp than you do with the rice and shrimp. So it's funny. I think it's hilarious. So anyway, you got your choice of rice and shrimp or shrimp and rice. And look, I've been to a lot of places, and I tried getting the shrimp and rice, and it didn't look like I had any more shrimp than I did with my rice and shrimp, and I just got to pay more. So I just quit getting the extra because I like extra shrimp. I didn't think I was getting my money's worth, so I just get rice and shrimp. Anyway, just a side note, that's a rabbit trail. So your dining is almost always going to be double because lots of tourists. But The pro to that is that you get to have so many different flavors and so many different restaurants. And sometimes the service is better because they're used to serving gringos or tourists, because if you leave the city, there is no such thing as service. They don't, okay? They bring you your drink, they bring you your food, and they don't check on you at all. There is no such thing as service when you're outside a touristy area, okay? There's no such thing. It's just you want more water, you got to hail them, and they're nice, but they just don't, there's no such thing as customer service in Costa Rica. So that's just one of the cons, okay? Now, hey, one of the other cons, and I guess depending on how you look at it, is that you don't have to use your Spanish. You don't need Spanish nearly as much because in those touristy areas, there are more people that speak English. However, I have been to a ton of places in San Jose, a lot of places in Jaco where no, they don't speak. And so I love to practice my Spanish now that I'm forcing myself to learn. And look, the other day I was down at the little store, Poperia, and trying to use my Spanish, and I saw this gringo who was parked there, and this girl, she was laughing. I said, "You're laughing at my Spanish, aren't you?" She says, "Well, at least you're trying." Hey, I can butcher up the language. But look, and it's funny because someone put a comment on one of my videos. "You really got to practice your Spanish. It's embarrassing." And I thought, well, who am I embarrassing? I ain't embarrassing myself. I'm having fun with it, and I'm trying. Anyway, people are funny. I laugh at it. So anyhow, so the good thing is that if you're in a tourist area, then if you're worried about your Spanish, don't worry. And look, I've been here 9 years and my Spanish was horrible. And look, if you try and you're nice and you smile, they absolutely love it, okay? And so as long as you're trying, you got nothing to worry about, okay? You'll love it. And I'm going to come to I see some more questions here, and I'm going to come to some of these questions here in a moment. So, hey, let's take a look at some other cons. Now, hey, what I'm about to talk about, while I look at it as a con, for you'd be like, that ain't no con. I love it. Give me more of it. So anyway, the nightlife. Most people come to Costa Rica for the nightlife. And while the nightlife in itself is not a con, a part of the nightlife is that you will get a lot of prostitutes. And so you might be saying, what's wrong with that? I'm not judging at all, okay? Just not for me. I love to people watch. So I was sitting at this place. It was right on the edge of the sidewalk. I'm having an apple juice, having a great time. And this pretty young thing, hi, she actually spoke English. And she's talking to me. Now, she wasn't dressed like a prostitute, so I really didn't think she was a prostitute. I thought she was just a friendly tika. So she's talking to me, and look, she was hot. Anyway, that's enough about that. So she's talking, and I'm like, hey, what you doing in this area? Oh, work. I'm like, oh, great. Well, what kind of work do you do? Oh, work. I said, oh, that kind of work. And she's like, yeah, what do you think? And I says, well, okay, I'm interested. How much is it for your service? Well, what kind of service? Just say it. What is your typical service? It's $200. I'm like, well, no, thank you, honey, but thanks anyway. So if you ever wondered, this particular working girl was charging $200 an hour. Now, I'm sure you could probably get some cheaper. I really don't know, okay? So I can't tell you from experience, but $200 an hour, $100 an hour, I don't think so. Not for me, but I know a lot of people that would. So anyway, other pro is or other con is that, hey, there's easy access to drugs. That might not be a con for you. Once again, I'm not judging. Now, here's one of the biggest cons, and this con is true for all of Costa Rica. And that con is simply that there's a lot of petty theft. And so that's everywhere in Costa Rica. But I think in the Jaco, San Jose area, the petty theft goes up to another level, okay? And especially in Jaco, or where there are lots of tourists, the theft is up to another level. And let me explain that. There's a lot of corruption, a lot of gringo pricing going on, and some people are like, anyway, I won't go into that. There's a lot of gringo pricing were very unfair. Matter of fact, look, the windshield wipers on my vehicle broke, and all I needed was to replace this little plastic bushing. And so I took it to this place, and the guy looked for 2 hours. He charged me $80 just to look at it, didn't even fix it. And he says, I can order the parts tomorrow. The new parts are $850, or I can get you some used parts for like $400. I'm like, dude, do I got stupid written up here? I mean, $800, I can almost buy another vehicle. Anyway, you have a lot of that kind of stuff happening simply because they know they're never going to see you again. They think you're a tourist, and that you're up here. I'm never going to see you. I'm going to rip you off because you don't know any better, or you know nothing about vehicles. Okay, a lot of that going on. So you do have to be careful. And look, being overcharged at mechanics are real everywhere in the world, but it happens in Jaco. It's just terrible. Any kind of service you want, you're going to get the gringo price. And that's simply because they just know that they're not going to see you again, and they don't care. But as far as the pros on the other side of that, I'm sure, I can't prove this, but I'm sure that if you lived in this area long enough, then you will be able to make friends. You'll talk to some of the locals, and then you'll find some of the trusted people. And what I learned, even whenever I was living down in the San Vito area, when I was there, I got the gringo price on a lot of things. And then when they found out I was a local and I was living here, then all of a sudden the prices started coming down, and I started getting the local price. And I'm sure that is true here in Jaco as well. You'll find the best places to live. You'll get the better rentals. You'll get the right prices. You'll get the original price, and you won't get the gringo price. You'll get the Tico price, okay? So I'm sure, although I can't prove it because I haven't been here long enough, I'm absolutely sure that can happen, okay? And the sad thing is that you have a lot of gringos that have established businesses here in Costa Rica, and they will con you just as fast as some of the locals will, because the gringos know that you don't know any better. You're here as a tourist, and so they're just conning you. The other real con is that, and it all depends on how you look at it, is that anywhere in Costa Rica, and I've always said, if you're in Costa Rica, always spend colones, always spend colones, always spend colones. Because if you spend dollars, you're going to get cheated every single time because of the exchange rate. You're going to get ripped off. So always spend colones. Unfortunately, a lot of places will only take dollars, and that's what they'll tell you. Well, if you tell them you don't have anything but colones, they'll take it. They're still going to rip you off because they're going to convert the dollars to colones, and they're not going to convert it at the original exchange rate, and so you're going to get ripped off still. But a lot of places will say that they only take dollars, and if I was in their shoes, while I still don't agree with it, they're saying, well, we put all our prices in dollars to make it easy for the tourist. Well, you're lying. You put it in dollars because you're going to make more money because the dollar is so stable and the colones go up and down, and it's not worth nearly as much. So anyway, that's just my take on it, and I won't rant any more on that. But anytime you're in a touristy area, you have lots of places that only take dollars. Like right here, the guy immediately saw me, and he gave me the price in dollars. I have no idea what the normal price is in colones, but I'm sure it's cheaper than $600. But maybe he only states it all. I mean, I got a Tico neighbor right next to me. I'm going to have to ask her what did they charge her in colones or dollars? I'd like to find out. Anyway, so that's just one of the cons. Now, here's something that I want you to pay close attention to, because this is real, and you need to know about it, okay? I did not realize how horrible the credit card theft was in Costa Rica, okay? And I talked a little bit about this last week, but I found out something anymore. How many of you, and if you know, put a 1 in the chat box if you're familiar with it. Do you know what credit card skimming is? Do you know what credit card skimming is? Okay, if you know what credit card skimming is, just put a yes in the chat box. Okay, what is credit card skimming? Credit card skimming normally only happens in touristy areas. Okay, now credit card skimming is where you have professional thieves, okay, where they go buy a device and it's for ATM machines. And so they will buy a device, put it on the ATM machine where you slide your credit card and it goes on top of the one that's there. So it looks identical and you really can't tell that there's a skimming device on there. And you stick your credit card in there and slide it out, and that device enters all your, grabs all of your information on the card. And in most cases, when there's a skimmer, there's also a hidden camera, and and that hidden camera is focused on the keypad so that it can get your PIN number. Although they don't really need it if they're just going to try to run your card somewhere. They need a PIN number if they're going to try to withdraw cash. Okay, so I was victim of this credit card skimming just last week. Okay, and so I did a lot of research on it. And so one way that you can protect yourself is that before you go to an ATM machine, where you put your credit card in, take your hand and physically see if you can move any kind of device where you insert your card. Look real carefully to see if you can see any kind of pinhole camera that's monitoring the pin pad. And I've just put my hand over the pin pad in case I don't see a camera, okay? But now I go to the credit card machine, and I went to one credit card machine and I found, what I believe is a skimming device, because while sometimes you can't pull it off, and it was on there good, when I felt it moved a little bit. It moved a little bit and it was flexible. I went to the other ATM right next to it, and it was very hard plastic. I couldn't squeeze it at all, okay? So I stayed away from that one because, hey, since I've been in Jaco, I have had 3 or 4 cards being compromised to credit card theft. 2 of them in the credit card skimmer, another one simply because, a worker or employee took a photo of my card and then tried to use it later. So lots of credit card theft, the credit card problems, if you're going to live in the city or in touristy areas. Okay, so that's just one of the biggest cons is the corruption. Okay, now another thing is that when you're in Jaco, there's so many things that you can buy. Lots of great souvenir shops, and you're going to have, I think, lack of a better word, I call them panhandlers. People that are selling all kind of stuff. Costa Rica has a lot of panhandlers. Are they still called panhandlers? I mean, there's so many places where there's, the traffic backs up, and so people are going through there selling chips and nuts, and they're selling, cell phone accessories and stuff. So anyway, lots of panhandlers. And it's kind of fun. However, these panhandlers will, always give you a high price, and they just love to haggle. I'm not a haggler. If you give me a price, I'm either going to buy it or I'm not going to buy it. And so to give you an idea, however, keep in mind, another con of Costa Rica is that almost everything that you buy is going to be poor quality. If you want good quality, you really need to go to San Jose. And so I don't know how well you'll be able to see this, but this is a butt bag, okay? And so here's a butt bag because I love to run, okay? And hey, I only paid 10,000 colones for this butt bag. But anyway, this bag was really neat because it had 3 different compartments. However, the very first day that I bought this, 10,000 colones, I don't know, that 10,000 colones is about 15 bucks, 17 bucks. Well, the very first day, the zipper broke. The handle just broke right off, said snap. Well, within the next 2 or 3 days, every single zipper handle broke off. So while I love this bag, poor quality. All of the zipper handles broke off. And so now you can hardly get into it. So it's practically worthless, okay? Now, a couple of days ago, I was down at Jaco, and here's another butt bag. And it was it was a little more expensive, but anyway, the panhandler said, hey, he wanted to charge me like 40,000 colonas. That was like 60 bucks. I'm like, dude, ain't no way, ain't happening. I walk away and the price kept dropping, kept dropping, kept dropping. Well, it finally got down to something realistic, and I ended up getting that one for 15,000 colonas. And so 15,000 colonas is more in line with around 11, 12 bucks. And I don't know if it's better quality. It kind of feels like leather. And I played the zippers a lot. Zippers hadn't broke yet. So anyway, that my point is that you can find some quality stuff, and that's generally going to be in San Jose, because I've looked at all the souvenir shops and could not find a quality butt bag or whatever you want to call it, hip bag or whatever. But anyway, it's just part of it. And if you see these panhandlers in Jaco, hey, just be prepared to haggle with them and get the price, because people are selling cigars and all kind of stuff, you know, Cuban cigars. I don't know if it's really from Cuba. It's probably hand rolled in someone's basement. I don't know. Anyway, so those are the cons, and I'm sure there's a lot more cons, but let's focus on some of the pros. You know, like I said earlier, one of the biggest pros is that you're coming to the nightlife. And so there's so many different restaurants, so many different bars and clubs to go to. You know, they even have strip clubs, you know, where you can go to the strip club and you can go to the casinos. They have one of the big pros that I do like about Jaco is the gated communities. So there are some really nice gated communities. And while most of those gated communities come with a fee if you're living in them, at least when you go there, you don't feel like there's not, in other words, you don't have all this barbed wire and bars on the windows, you know, it feels like it's more refreshing, you know. So anyway, these gated communities can really be some nice places to live at. But some of those gated communities, if you're buying property there, will come with an HOA fee. So do keep that in mind. And really the HOA fee thing is really a con, in my opinion, if it's expensive. Hey, I can understand if the HOA fees around $200 or $300, and you got someone that actually is maintaining the roads and the grass and you know, the whole landscaping. But a lot of the HOA fees are insane, $500, $600. Well, they're ripping you off, because look, labor in Costa Rica is cheap, cheap, cheap. $500, $600 HOA fees. You're paying somebody to take care of the whole place, you know. So that's just my opinion. But, you know, one of the pros is gated communities. And look, I guess one of the best pros of all of living in the city or in a tourist area is you're going to almost always have great internet. Wow. The internet that I'm having here has been some of the best internet ever, where I actually have 100 megs or close to 100 megs download. My upload speeds are like 30 megs upload. So you can really get some really good internet speeds. However, I have lived in some places or been to areas where there's absolutely no internet in some of the gated communities. And the last place I lived at had terrible internet, but that was because the owner bought terrible internet, and I had to buy internet, and I was able to buy internet. And so I just had to pay for more internet, or better internet than what he had, okay? So anyway, you can really get that. Now, another great pro is if you live in the city, like Jaco, San Jose, you can find English-speaking churches. So if you enjoy going to church, I do. I love to go. I'm at church every Sunday almost. However, most of the places I'm at, there is no English-speaking church, so I get to go to church online at my home church. But there is an English-speaking church here in Jaco. It's called Horizon Church, and I've been visiting that church. Didn't get to go today because my vehicle is broke and it's in the shop, okay? But anyway, you got English-speaking churches. You got, you know, the ocean's right here close to Jaco, so you can do a lot of great fishing. And there's some different events, of course, obviously surfing and things like that. Another good thing about being in the Jaco area is that you can get a lot of fresh seafood, okay? And being in the Jaco area, well, heck, man, you're only 2 hours away from San Jose, the airport, great shopping, and, you know, in the event you're living in this area and you want to buy some quality furniture, you know, stuff like refrigerators and stove and things like that, but a place to go buy that kind of thing is in San Jose. So, hey, those are all of the pros and cons and my perspective on living in San Jose or in the city versus living in rural areas of Costa Rica. If I had my choice, where would I live? I'm telling you, I am missing home. I miss being at my place up on the mountain. And because, while I still don't have my place built, I love the peace and the quiet, the serenity. I absolutely love it. So you couldn't pay me to live in the city, but hey, I am getting paid to live in the city right now, but I know it's only temporary. So yeah, I had quite a few people. So I'm going to look at some of these questions in here. And if you have a question, make sure that you put it in the chat box. If you're here live, Gabriel and Tim, you want to share your perspective about living in a touristy area of the city, or if you have a question, then all you got to do is put a chat box. Let me know that you got a question. I'll unmute you, or you can unmute yourself so that you can ask that question. I'd love for people to come in live, and I'd really love for you to participate live if you want to. Of course, you do have to have a good mic, okay? Good camera. All right, so quite a few people did say, and like Richard said, he got skimmed 6 months ago in Canada. Yes, these credit card skimmers are usually where there's big cities, lots of people going in and out. Because I can tell you that the credit card skimmers here in Costa Rica, they are not trying to skim Tico credit cards, because most Ticos don't have money. They are skimming gringo tourist people, because tourist people have that disposable money, and so they were getting, look, within 2 days of my going, I'm almost certain I know where I got skimmed at. Both of those cards, I had the same charges on both those cards, so I knew exactly where it was coming from. Okay. Yep, Dirk's Wine World says, yeah, always use your hand as a shield. Richard says, man, skimmers are common everywhere. Okay. So let me come down through here. Now, Doug asked, are there any pirate taxis in Jaco? He says his 2 stepsons are in Sarchi and used to do pirate taxis. Hey, I think you have pirate taxis everywhere. The unfortunate thing is that you got to ask the locals, because pirate taxis can't put their phone number or anything on their vehicles. Hence, that's the whole reason they're pirate taxis. So if you find a pirate taxi, obviously you are going to get cheaper, but you could get conned. But hey, yeah, I'm sure there's some pirate taxis here, although I couldn't personally tell you because I haven't rode in any, okay? The house construction is coming along pretty good, and you're going to get some updates on that pretty soon. I haven't been to the construction site for about 2 weeks, well, a week now, because my vehicle broke down. And hey, just a quick story on that. I could hear the thing, when I was riding, something wasn't right, took it to the shop, they couldn't find it. Well, my axle broke. And so it's in the shop, and the shop here wanted to charge me $1,600 to fix it. And I was like, that ain't happening. And I ended up just getting a tow truck to haul it back to my place, to my mechanic, because I do have a good, honest mechanic, and I wasn't about to get ripped off over here. So anyway, I took it there. Let's take a look at some of these questions here. Now, Mike says, have you spent some time on the East Coast? And I think what you're talking about is on the Caribbean side. Yes, I have been on the Caribbean side, and it's a whole different vibe. Doesn't feel like Costa Rica at all to me, okay? But some people love it, okay? It's got the whole Afro-American, Jamaican vibe. Hey, I'm not prejudiced at all. That's just the best way for me to describe. Some of my best friends are African-American, okay? Regardless, I'm just telling you, it's a different vibe. Bob Marley is a hero over there. He's a superhero over there. And lots of drugs, but it's a whole different vibe. Doesn't feel like Costa Rica at all. The people are different, not nearly as friendly as the Ticos over on the Pacific side. So huge different. So that's my perspective, my experience on that side. So I'm looking through here, and lots of comments here, but they're just generic comments. And so I want to make sure I can answer any questions. All right. Hey, thank you for the positive comments. Like Angel, we love you. Ryan says, hey, Alan. Hey, greatly appreciate all the shout outs. Hey, and the Hennison says, congratulations. They've done a lot of research, so they're coming in November, okay? And hey, the Hennison says, do you have any advice for a family moving to Bahia Ballerina? And I think what you're talking about is over the Uvita area. Correct me if I am wrong, okay? But yes, in that area, it's up and coming and being developed a whole lot right now, okay? And so you can still find some decent places down there, but it's not nearly as touristy. But you know, they've got the whale's tail, and it is a pretty touristy area. So I would do the same thing. If you're going to live over there, find you a place that's 10, 20 minutes outside of Uvita, and you're going to find a lot cheaper places there, okay? So I hope that helps you out. All right, so I think I've answered all of the questions. Hey, any other questions? If you got some questions, please let me know. Wayne P says coming in December. And hey, look, you know, I love to meet people. I'm a very outgoing person. And look, if you want to take me out to eat, and you just want to take me out for an apple juice, hey, all you got to do is hit me up. Easiest way to hit me up is to look in the description, and you can join my newsletter, and then you'll get an email from me as soon as you join the newsletter. You'll never get spam, so don't join the newsletter and then unsubscribe. If you join the newsletter, you're going to get, you know, a little email series telling you about some amazing adventures here. But really, that newsletter is to let you know whenever I'm doing these lives, let you know whenever something comes up. But join that newsletter, because then you'll have my email, and you can reply back, and you can say, hey, look, Alan, I'm going to be coming in December. Would love to take you out to eat. And I'll reply back, and I'll let you know if I'm in the area. Would love to meet up with you. Would love to go out to eat. Okay. So hey, I enjoy talking with people, meeting with people. Doesn't cost you anything but a meal and a few apple juices, and we'll have a great time together. Okay. So anyway. And Richard says he's going to take me up on that. Well, fantastic. I'm going to find the most expensive thing on the menu, because I ain't getting no shrimp and rice. No, I'm teasing. I'm teasing. I eat very healthy, so most of the stuff I order is not expensive. All right, Wayne says, count on it. Fantastic. Maybe I get a free meal here and there, and that way I won't dry up to skin and bones. I've been losing a little weight. I've been so busy, I hadn't had a chance to be on my normal workout. But anyway, fantastic. Okay. I'm gonna mess it up. Richie says, dos cervezas, por favor. I agree. Get one, 2 for me and 2 for you. Okay. All right. Heather says, planning to visit Jaco in a few weeks. Thanks you for the info. Hey, Heather, I think you're going to have a blast. Keep your wits about you. Always be very observant, and you'll absolutely have a great, great time. You'll have a wonderful time. But you will spend some money, so be prepared to spend some money, okay? And look, if you like to go to the casino, remember, I will be your personal casino machine. I'll let you pull my arm as long as you keep feeding me dollar bills or whatever. Have a good time. All right. Hey, this is your chance right here. Wait, I see a couple of things over in the private chat. And Tim Rose says, coming to Costa Rica for the first time in December. Congratulations. Gabriel says, lived in Jaco for 2 years. Any tips on budgeting? And the restaurants are getting expensive. Hey, absolutely. So, and you know, that's really a good question. You know, if you're wanting to live in this area and you're as far as budgeting goes, hey, you can live very cheap depending on your lifestyle. So like I said earlier, if you find a Tico house for rent, wow, you can really rent cheap. And as long as you're, if you go eat at the sodas instead of at the gringo restaurants, you'll save a ton of money. If you find a place where you can plant a garden and you plant your food, I mean, you can really save a lot of money. You know, you can buy a used vehicle Because look, my vehicle is 26 years old. Now it has been in the shop a lot, but really I think it's been in the shop a lot because the road I live on is harsh. And so I abuse my vehicle, although I do try to take care of it. You know, I carry a lot of weight on it, and it's going up and down that rough four-wheel drive road to my place. So anyway, but look, you can buy a used vehicle and you can save a lot of money. Hey, I don't know, Richard asked, do I know any boaters in Los Sueños? And I didn't even talk about Los Sueños. And Los Sueños is a very, very high-end community. And I'm talking about yacht club and, you know, places where you live over there. It will cost you a lot of money in Los Sueños, okay? So if you got more money than sense, you want to live in Los Sueños. But I say just give me some of that sense that you ain't got. I'll take it. So anyway, I'm cracking myself up. I like to have way too much fun. Okay. Anyway, all right. Hey, I think that's all of the questions and comments. Hey, look, make sure you please always subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Always comment. Always hit the like button. I really appreciate it, and it really does help the channel a lot. Because the algorithm see that you've liked it, sees that you comment, and then they will push it out for other people to see. So I really appreciate it. And look, give me some input. You know, I'm going to try to do a live every single Sunday. So if you have a particular topic that you want me to address, let me know. I will research it to make sure I give you all of the information. Because, you know, if I don't know it, I'll just make something up. No. I'm teasing. I like to give you the facts. I don't like to make up stuff. If I don't know, I'm simply going to tell you I don't know. So let me know. We'll definitely talk to you about it, okay? So, hey, awesome. I've had a great time. I hope you have enjoyed it. Thank you so much for supporting me. Those people that are joining the private community, the members-only community, I want to shout out to them. Thank you so much. Because look, every little bit does help me, and I just really appreciate it. It's a great way for you to just show your appreciation for the content that I'm putting out there, all of the research I do, because I really do a lot of work giving out that information. Any opinion on Puerto Jimenez? Puerto Jimenez. No, I have not been in Puerto Jimenez a lot, so I couldn't give you much info on Puerto Jimenez. I really should do some research on that area, but have not been there, so I can't, and I won't make up stuff. I don't know a lot about Puerto Jimenez, okay? Hey, thank you so much, everybody. Y'all have a great day. I've had an awesome time. Thanks for joining me in my virtual house. I'll see you next Sunday for sure. I hope you join me. And if you haven't joined, hey, make sure you subscribe to my newsletter so you'll get an email letting you know when we're having these live broadcasts. I'll see you next time.